You're welcome. This is just going to be a quiet stream tonight. Woo! So if you have time for a little story, or you want me to read to you a little book-like game, then here it is. This is a bonus. I played this morning, and I got hooked on it. And then I had the Starfy, and then now I want more. So those of you who don't know, we're raising mushroom daughters. Now, actually, here, let me start off fresh for you. Once upon a time, there was a humble recluse. Though they had no need for society, they did often find themselves home to a loneliness they could never quite shake. In the morning, the sun would rise, and at night it would set. The recluse would often observe this splendor, knowing that the sight would be made all the more beautiful of having someone to share it with. It wasn't that they desired a relationship. Perhaps it was a flame that had been burned them one too many times, or perhaps they just simply were disinterested. No, a child. That's what they wanted. Someone to care of, to teach. Unfortunately, it was a longing that could not be found, not in these woods alone. However, we are not quite as alone as we think, now are we? One day a witch appeared, as if drawn by the intensity of the recluse's desires. The lumber that the recluse spent all morning gathering slipped through their hands as they spotted her, the witch of the woods. She began to speak. You desire a child, yes? For some, those are quite easy to come by, but not you, it would seem. Let's make a deal. Then, if you do 3 simple chores for me, I'll present to you the daughter of your very own. The recluse, caught up in the moment of naivety, quickly agreed. The witch, knowing that the recluse was destined to accept, simply nodded and began to deliver the first of these so-called chores without hesitation. Your child will come into this world. With little to her name, let us even these scales. Bring me an heirloom, something that she'll forever value. The recluse thought for briefly, searching through their home for an object they'd pictured. A gleaming music box, an old bottle of medicine that sat unopened, your most used skill, cast iron skillet. Now, these choices will affect the gameplay and what our daughter will turn into. I will take suggestions of what you want me to choose. Sometimes I'll even leave it to a vote. But for now, since we are all caught up in the cute storytelling, I'll continue. Let's do a glimmering music box. A soft, beautiful tune played from the jewelry box. It had been created to bring joy and beauty all around it, which he found quite admirable in theory. The recluse that had hoped that their daughter could have that privilege, to think she could focus on the soft things like music and avoid the dark, painful things in life. Bringing their prize back to the witch, she simply gave them a smile. How perfect! After their brief detour to meet the witch, the recluse resumed to their normal day-to-day schedule. The second day. The recluse slept most soundly at night, but they had in ages. Having a purpose again soothed them, even if they had found themselves caught up with a witch. They elected not to think about that, though. Instead, when the morning came, they simply did what they had to do, which is to say, they got up and went to meet the witch. Upon watching the recluse's approach, a sardonic smile lit the witch's face. You completed your first task admirably. 2 more and I can finally give what you want. She paused for only a moment before delivering her message. There had been some activities I'd been meaning to get to. Perhaps you could make yourself useful and cross one off the list for me. Not realizing they'd simply saved the witch some time, the recluse determined which task they are most suited for. Test a selection of elixirs for quality. Restock a selection of unsettling components. Attend to a certain matter of not just lingerie basket. We did this last time. However, to give a fresh new start for people who don't know, we're going to test a selection of elixirs. Surely the witch wouldn't offer anything that would kill or maim, right? The recluse tried to clear their head of worries as they carefully sipped. In the end, they did walk away safely, at the very least. Arriving back to their meeting point, the recluse was excited to report their progress to the witch. Very good, how kind of you. After quickly wiping themselves down, the recluse returned to their hut for the remainder of the night. 3rd day. With 2 assignments complete, the recluse could feel their excitement grow. If this witch was being honest, and for some reason they felt that she was, then that meant that this could be the last night they could spend without a child. They hoped at least. It was all they could do. Barely remembering to get dressed, the recluse dashed to the meeting spot. Again, the witch had been waiting there for them. Welcome back, recluse. Are you prepared? Today's your day, is it not? The last task is an easy one, or at least I believe so. Bring me something colorful, something bright, that you think will suit her. When they were first told of these 3 tasks, the recluse had imagined these things were much more difficult. So this seemed so easy as to be a trick, which they suppose only meant they would take it seriously, as if a mistake could mean death. With death in mind, the recluse needed to decide where to search for the color. A field of flowers or a stony river. We've picked a field of flowers a few times before. Let's do it one more time. If someone wanted color, where else was there to even consider? The recluse decided to make their way to a particular idyllic field of flowers. The field of flowers filled with an overwhelming amount of choice. Before long, the recluse narrowed down the options down to a few. Milkweed, a bright orange herald of butterflies. Foxglove, a purple bell of blooms. Bleeding hearts, sandrine symbolic drops. Forget-me-nots, light-hearted blue flowers. Cardinal flowers, a prideful red bloom. We did choose forget-me-nots, so we'll do that again. The cerulean sea of forget-me-nots bobbed in the gentle breeze. Fitting for a moment that would never be forgotten. The recluse plucked one, gently storing it in their pocket. Oh, blue! The recluse returned to the witch's hut, colored item in hand. She silently took the object, nodding her head in the recluse's recognition. The recluse stood there for a moment, unsure, before the witch finally realized what they expected. Oh, you wanted your promised daughter, don't you? Her voice almost mocking, but at least it was not overtly cruel. I suppose I must tell you that I lied, human. I do require several more trifling things from you. First is a matter of payment. The recluse should have known that everything was for a cost. Pay me now with wealth. Pay me now with your life. Pay me sometime later in a larger quantity. Pay me at a much later date, in the way I choose. We will pay her this time now with wealth. They offered their current purse to the witch, and they took it wordlessly. After pocketing the whole pouch, she returned a single coin to the recluse's hand. This will be sufficient, the witch smiles. The payment is settled, and the witch simply smiled and handed the recluse a small pot. Humans are tricky, but mushrooms are much more resilient. Consider this an upgrade. Don't worry, eventually she'll develop a mind. Simply give her time, as much as she needs. Soon your wish will be in full bloom. I suppose, with all that settled though, there's one last thing to consider. A young girl needs a proper name. The recluse thought on the witch's demand before offering one final thing they had to give. Her name. Is there any name? Any takers? Anyone wants to name her? See my reply? Alright. I see your reply. And that name we shall give her. I'm having trouble spelling. Wow, this is quite a day. Enter. Then she walked away, only fate knowing if the two shall ever meet again. Chapter 2, Cultivation. Though the recluse are unsure of the specifics, what am I doing? They did realize it was important to heed her instructions, care for the pot and the dirt and everything that laid within. So the recluse geared up, as any parent should, assess things they need to do to raise a child. Finances in any case. Nearby village has a lot of goods and services that you could not provide. Nutrients for the child to help them grow strong. And they need plenty of it. They deplete on a daily basis. And finally, the recluse's own stamina could not be ignored. One cannot burn the candle when birth ends indefinitely. And thus begun the longest growing session of the recluse's life. Recently, you've begun to think about your daughter's living quarters, specifically her pot. You have had a few ideas to improve it, but you only have so much time. Which do you decide to move forward with? Infuse the soil with drops of your own blood? What the fuck? I decorate the pot. Ensure her soil remains ever damp. Buy fancy substrate from town. I can't afford that. Infuse the soil with drops of your own blood. Use your cooking scraps as compost. How many people are active in chat today? Perhaps I'll leave the decision up to you. I do have to take a small little break, so I will leave the decision up to you for a moment. Just a small break, maybe to get some water and some food. So let's start a little poll. New poll. I will let you decide What should we give her nutrients with? Feed her. Feed me, Seymour. Cooking. Scraps. Your blood. Blood for the blood god. Your blood. Your blood. We don't have money, so we cannot buy fancy substrate. So we're gonna skip that. Enrich her soil. Remains ever damp. Water. Decorate the pot. And there you go, 3 minutes to vote. And I will take a little break, get some water, and I'll be right back. Oh, damn. Well, I guess you're gonna have to shit on the floor. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, let's go back. Cooking has won, so we shall feed her the cooking scraps. Recently, when cooking, you've noticed some waste. Perhaps peels and scraps you normally throw into the woods could have better use. You begin to place small fragments of your meals in a special bin. It almost feels like you're sharing your meal with your daughter. And that thought brings you warmth. Hopefully she likes your cooking. She'll have a lot of it in her life. Her quality of life has been improved. Life continued. Harsh weather has taken its toll on your garden, and your entire harvest has been lost. Weeks' worth of food and labor has rotted and destroyed. Without immediate action, you and your daughter will be in trouble later down the line. Till the garden. Start over from the seed. No use crying over ruined crops. You simply make adjustments to your garden. There has been less variety this season, but you'll live to see it. That's what matters. A decision is made, life continues. Huh? Something is happening. Oh, no, I'm kidding. Your daughter has changed through the night. One day you suddenly awoke. One day you wake suddenly, discovering that your mushroom has gained enough limbs to propel themselves through the house. Oh my god. The creature toddles on uneasy legs, bumping into things noisily, and a cute face that shows a vacant expression. Her demeanor seems pensive and unsure, sometimes staring too long at familiar objects. Encourage her thoughtfulness, spend time nurturing her environment, or motivate her to do something more productive. Consider your daughter's lack of enrichment. You decide to encourage her to try something. You send her outside to utilize your newfound locomotion through play and exercise. You watch her cheerfully learn how to run and jump about, becoming more daring with every moment. The decision has been made and life continues. On one evening, you hear a light knock at your door. A quiet, rare occasion. Peeking through the door, you witness none other than the Witch of the Woods, staring on the doorstep of your humble hut. Could she be here for a visit, or perhaps to settle a debt? Introduce her to your daughter. Perhaps it was time for your daughter to meet the witch. She could perhaps learn a thing or two. The two of you answer the door and invite the gloomy woman inside for a dry and awkward small talk. Something about the way the two absently stared at each other. You wonder if they made some sort of connection today. A decision has been made. Life continued. While tapping on some trees one day, you overheard a noise. It seemed to be the sound of clinking coins and dice. Before long, you managed to track on the source. A wingless fairy sitting in the eye of the tree. A human! Oh no! Now I'm forced to gamble! The fae cried out inconveniently. I'm a dice fae! You see, I have no choice but to gamble with every human that passes by. You even get to pick the states. The rules are simple. If I roll 5 or less, I win. But if you roll 6 or higher, well, it means you win. Compelling, right? Gamble with the fairy? What the hell, why not? What do you have to offer? Coin. Finger? A daughter? Oh no! I don't want to offer my daughter. What are you, chicken? The fairy cut you, but immune to the taunts. You deal with fae as dangerous after all. You are no fool. Without delay, the fairy casts her die. It rattles, it rattles, it rattles. Oh, thank God. Yes, you pass. With 10, The passing amount settlement, you realize, against all odds, you've won. Wow, won't spend it all in one place now. A small fistful of coins. That's... okay. Scoop it up from the ground and before you depart. Huh? What's happening? Child. Oh my god. Oh my god. She's so beautiful. Your daughter has changed in the night. One morning you notice that your daughter is nowhere to be seen. After an hour searching the nearby area, you find her sitting alone in a familiar clearing. To your surprise, the creature has now taken the form of a young girl. You feel relieved to confirm that the witch has not betrayed you. At your approach, she turns and smiles at you before continuing, thoughtfully staring into space. Tell her it's time to go home. I want to buy her a gift. Today feels like a momentous occasion, an achievement, so you tell your daughter that you're going to the village to buy her a present. She jumps up excitedly and the two of you head back for a trip to town. Your daughter, thoroughly excited by the outing, lovingly clutches a cute doll she picked out at the market. A decision has been made and life continues. You've been irresponsible with your funds. One more unnecessary expense and you won't have enough food to survive. You loathe interacting with others, but you may have to find some work in town. You swallow your pride and head to the village to manual labor. It's demanding work, but the fruits of your labor will ensure you and your daughter will survive another day. A decision has been made, life continues. You realize that you finished all your work for a week, and you had a free whole day. Teach your daughter an important lesson? Take your daughter on a scenic hike. Spend some time cleaning up. Take your daughter on a scenic hike. Take your daughter to see the witch. Okay, why not? You take your daughter to visit the witch once again. She might learn a little more from her. The witch is happy to see you both. Spends a pleasant evening with you two. It seems like she developed quite a fondness for the little mushroom girl. Maybe the witch could consider you both like family. The decision has been made. Life continued. The end? An end? One night you find yourself struggling to sleep. Your mind wanders as you consider your current place in life. You lived peacefully with your daughter for many moons, essentially. It was strange, well, it never stopped being strange. But you were always thankful for the company. And besides, the affection you felt for her was like any parent would towards their child. That was normal, at least. Your thoughts turned to the concept of time. Particularly how you were once alone, and how you are afraid that you'll be once again someday. Your daughter has had more and more curiouses about the outside world. It's only a matter of time before she wants to strike her own path. You hope you'll be fulfilled now, and you hope you've done enough. Ultimately, you find comfort in what you've done. You've had many failures in your life, but it's one thing you know you could die proud of. What just happened? A new beginning. Tell the recluse that you wanted to see more of the world wasn't an easy conversation. As they grew older, you worried about leaving them on their own. Thankfully, your concerns weren't unwarranted. They were happy that you've grown enough to walk and move out. They even offered to help you build your own house, close to theirs. You were welcome to visit any time, obviously. Faster than you anticipated, the two of you built your house together. They showed you all the tricks they knew, and made sure to impart as much knowledge as they possibly could. Finally, the day arrived. You were officially on your own. You were scared, a little, but also excited. It felt like a new chapter was just beginning for you. Amanianta, the elegant little brown mushroom. Oh, she's so small. She could barely fit in her profile. She can barely fit in her profile. That's so cute. Despite some initial uncertainty, you find your new home may be even nicer than the recluse's shack. Your first days living outside your parents' home were occasionally daunting, but also filled with possibilities. What would you like to do? The woods. Wandering around the woods one day, you find yourself lost in thought. Eventually, snapping out, you realize you're a part of the forest you've only been to rarely. And it would seem, off to the side, there was a small pathway that made through the underbrush recently. Though it goes into the tree line out of sight. Naturally, you're not a cat, and therefore curiosity won't kill you, according to humans at least. You take a gander down the path. The path of grass was a bit thin, but you were able to navigate it with ease nonetheless. And at length you came out to a scenic glade. You pause for a moment, taking in the peculiar arrangement statues of gnomes dot the glade. There was no rhyme or reason to a pattern of them, but they do look particularly cozy. Humans sometimes have these outside their homes as decorations, and you can't help but wonder who dragged all these in the remote area. Nonetheless, you're the only one there, so it's not like there's anyone to ask. Take one of the statues with you. Sit in the glade for a bit. Considering how peaceful the glade is, oh goddammit, you decide to sit down amongst the stone ornaments to enjoy the day, but not long before rain clouds appear overhead, is a slight torrent downpour on your head. Why does the forest smell like expired roasted chicken? You return the way you came. Wait, how did you get here again? There was a knock at the door. When you go to answer, you see a man dressed in elegant black suit. "Ah, you the fungal woman of the woods?" he asks. As though seeing you in the mushy flesh wasn't enough. "My employer wishes to invite you to a small dinner gathering. She heard much about you, and thinks her guests would relish the chance to be acquainted with you." You stand there, slightly in shock, as the man proceeds to outline the dates of this event. When you should arrive, the sort of clothing you should wear. Oh, do you wear clothing? I have to double check the dress code, etc. Finally, after handing you a small scrap of paper with elegant writing on it, they bid you adieu. The man leaves your doorstep. You think about the event that's been described to you and ultimately come to a decision. Attend the event and simply be yourself. You figure, why not? If they would like to meet you, you should be kind enough to allow that. Undefinable, uncertain. You never got big enough to fully identify. Aww. You're a little different every day, then that's okay with you. You are, unfortunately, not very good at much of anything. Underdeveloped. You didn't receive proper care. You grew into a stunted adult. A loser. People can tell by looking. Don't call her that. Cries often. You find it difficult to contain yourself. Don't call her that. Mystic bond. Mystic connection, your bond with the witch deepened. Loving parent. The recluse, always live in your heart. Your being, for the time being, next door. Hi again, Ro. Oh, hi, Sam. You figured why not? On the day of the event you gathered yourself. You have nerves, of course, but that's only natural. You made your way to the party. When you arrive, you see dozens of people dressed in monocles and other strange clothing items that don't seem to serve for any practical purpose. They're here, sitting in a large, long, rectangular table, spotted with food dishes that you couldn't even begin to guess the identity of. An elegant woman greets you with an excited shriek. Oh, you are just darling. Butler, fetch me the drink for our guest and have her seated. You figure this is the host and thank her for your invitation. She moves next to you on a large table and ends up keeping you company for the rest of the night. Oh. Over the course of the evening, she introduces you to everyone on the table. Most seem charmed by you, if a little bored. You seem to get one particular rude man. He shoves up his bony index finger in your face. Why are you streaming this late? Why not? Wouldn't you like a little story to go with before bed? Goodness, this is the worst yet. Where do you keep finding these beasts? The host seems displeased at the outburst. And excuse the man from the premises, but you are left with a feeling of discomfort after that. It was an interaction you find yourself thinking about as you walk home, and sometimes at night when you try to fall asleep. While wandering in the woods near your home, suddenly you hear something rustle in the foliage ahead of you. Before you could react, a large boar bursts from the bush and locks eyes with you. You feel a sense of intensity, flaming aura of determination emanate from the wild hog. If it's a fight you'll want, it's a fight you'll get. You stifle your... What the fuck? This fucking mushroom... This tiny mushroom child beats the shit out of this boar. You stifle your stance and ready yourself at the pig. Remember, this little thing. Young adult. You stifle your stance and ready yourself as the pig charges. The large swine hits you in the stomach, but that is what you wanted. Grabbing either side of the pig, you use all your strength and lift it off the ground, twisting it into a perfect suplex. Squealing as it struggles to its feet, the beast flees defeated, and you head home feeling tougher than before. You feel a crisp breeze, the heat relenting, and the trees are changing color. Fall has arrived. The change in weather has integrated you. What would you like to do today? Let's go to town. While walking around the road of town, you spot something rather large lying on the path some distance away. Approaching, you find a human on the ground, groaning in pain. You don't really get it, but some part of them is broken. They look up at you, uncertain, but pleading. I accidentally took a screenshot. How wonderful. Help them try to mend their injuries. Let's help them back to town. You attempt to help the human back on your feet, and I fail, but immediately drop unexpected the heavy load. A few minutes of futile pushing and pulling, the human waves you away defeated. You couldn't help them, but at least the human didn't seem to begrudge you for trying. One day, you, without realizing, you stayed in a village much later than intended. The sun fully set, and the darkness is enveloped. Thankfully, you're fully capable of taking care of yourself. You know this settlement well, and the lack of sun does not change that. You decided to take a shortcut through the alley, but to your surprise, there were others there as well. Quite a few others, in fact. It quickly becomes apparent that you, most of the alley, are going through a single door, one that, when opened, you can hear faint sounds of revelry and triumph within. When they go to leave, they have many small trinkets, and it seems they tire from a long night of cheering. Enter the door. After a while spying, you get impressed by the people are free to enter. Your people, basically. So you figure it is safe to investigate further. As you step inside, the roar of a crowd grows in volume and clarity, and it takes your eyes a second to adjust to the dim light. You pass by a few tables full of merchant goods into the large room of people, and at the center of that is an arena toppled with a fighting ring. A ring currently in use, two combatants circling each other. One fighter, a man with a crude grasshopper masks, constructed out of dyed linen leaves. He moves with a quick, staggering step, often feinting to his opponent. His opponent, a tall figure, largely obscured by a dark cloak, counters nimbly, keeping low. You watch the grasshopper man grab the cloak and using it to pull his opponent out around the ring. You find yourself drawn towards the crowd. The mood of the fight seems intoxicating, but before you knew it, you were whooping and hollering with the rest. Finally, in a thrilling conclusion, the caped fighter managed to subdue the crude grasshopper. They triumphantly suplexed the masked man, a joy of the crowd. Though initially slightly concerned by the man's health, you find that both fighters have support immediately afterward. Slowly, the crowd begins to dissipate. What a thrilling event! As you leave, a chubby woman wearing an elaborately decorated pair of glasses stops you. I have never seen anyone quite like you before, love. If you ever want to fight, come back here any time, and I think we can help you get something spectacular. You accept the scrap of paper the woman hands you. On it, the list of her name and where to find her. After giving her a quick farewell, you dash back home, much to consider. Walking around village one day, you overheard a gaggle of fun-sized humans giggling. You gradually sneak up closer and take a look. Remarkably close. They don't seem to care that you're there, but hey, wait, are they ignoring you on purpose? The nerve of some fleshies. At least you can listen to them on whatever they've been so engrossed in. How much? One children exclaims, her jaw dropped in sheer awe at another kid, whose chest is puffed proudly. With a grin, the child reiterates, enough to buy 3 bags of candy. No fair, another child cries out. When I lost mine, all she brought me was enough for a hoop and a stick. The other kid looks at the child with pretty hoop and stick. Was so last season. Well, anyway, the boastful child continues, I have another loose, so I can expect more candy here soon. That's not fair. I want to lose a tooth. You're younger than me. What gives? Try because all of that candy, one of the kids say, only to be met with a shrug from the proud child as he snacked on his treats. Whatever, I'm gonna go home and pull my tooth out myself. And you see me next time, I'll have 4 bags of candy. The girl stormed off, determined to come with some coin of her own. Which is odd. When you think about it, do kids get money from your teeth? Do they sell their other parts? You wonder briefly about the value of a kidney when you heard one of the gremlins shout, be sure to put it under your pillow! Aha, you realize. There's a caveat. One must be a tooth and store it under their pillow, and then money? Last you checked, you considered your teeth to grow back. considered your teeth to grow back after some time, it could be a lucrative adventure. At length you arrive home, finding yourselves less certain than before than the village. It's not like a fun-sized humans are known for their honesty. You pause for a moment and think. One tooth wouldn't kill you. Go for it. Not wanting to pull any more time and attempts to convince yourself, you reach into your mouth and grab a hold of what passes your body as a tooth. Slowly, steadily pressures you pull, and then the tooth breaks off easily, like a bar of chocolate. Oh, but mycelium, so much worse. Regardless, you are now possessed with a detached tooth. You eagerly comes to rest when you put it under your pillow. You snap awake in the middle, and first thought is check pillow, but you find nothing. Not even your tooth remains. So you're awake then, huh? A small voice chimes from the center of your room. You glance over and spot an ill-tempered fairy and their few minions. See, here's the thing. You just put a tooth under the pillow. That's fine and fair, until that tooth turns out ain't be a tooth. The group of fae are staring you down. You expect that's for the best to remain still and silent. Now, I'm a reasonable guy. I clock in, I clock out, and I don't want no trouble now. How's the issue here? Says the boss lady won't keen dents in these types of shenanigans. Now I can see you're just an innocent mush lady. And so this ordeal can be overlooked in this time. Unfortunately, we ain't able to give back that tooth of yours. Company practice, capiche? That's okay. They grow back. Well, yes, that's how teeth work. At least once. You got your baby teeth and you got your adult teeth. No, they just grow back. They what? The fairy appears incredulously. His companions volley, fascinated, whisper amongst themselves. You saying you gotta replenish your supply? You shrug. At least you do. It's not particular. Pleasant to lose teeth, but it's a technical double. The fairies all pause for a moment. Gears noticeably turning in their heads. Hey, so sorry for any unpleasantries earlier. Boss lady just really wanted the message clear, you know? But she does have the fairy glanced at his companions, offering blank stares. Right, she has she's got a particular taste, it would seem. What did he say? You know, shaving over some food would be like nice mushroom powder. And you know, you got seemingly an infinite supply, and the fairy begins fidgeting on his person, and his companions seem suddenly much more intrigued with your abilities. Here, take this. The fairy pulls out a small business card from his pocket, handing it over. You look back at it. The words in the back, it seems. Is this a number? You're pretty sure that's a number. Oh, if it is, though, it's pretty long. Wow. The fairy in charge catches your confusion, and upon realizing the situation, he procures a different card. This one simply is a crude picture of someone kicking multiple mushrooms and arranged in a circle. Just give us a ring sometime, yeah? Main fairy says. You look back at the artwork and you couldn't help but feel like it's been a hate crime. But upon looking back, you realize the fairies have vanished without a trace. Only the lingering smell of bad aftershave and lenient face stink remains. Unsatisfied with the lack of reward under your pillow and annoyed by usual fairy shenanigans, you attempt to go back to sleep. Maybe you'll check out the Tooth Fairy's deal someday. Until then, however, the middle of the night beckons, and sleep beckons. The chill breeze greets you one morning, heralding the approach of winter. In the end of the year approaches, you find yourself considering your aspirations. You want to accomplish something significant. You decide something that you'll remember. Take on a dangerous quest. Attend a charming evening gala. Pursue a great aspiration. Attend a charming evening gala. Recently, you gathered enough attention in the area to invite at a high-class event. This could be an opportunity to celebrate the year, or at least invite someone you wish to grow closer with. Attend the gala alone. The gala seems intimidating enough as is. You don't feel the need to overcomplicate things. You decide to attend alone. It might be lonely, but you hope you'll have a pleasant evening. The event isn't until the end of the year, at least. You have plenty of time to prepare yourself. The chilly night air invites you. What would you like to do today? I'd like to go to town. Strolling through a nearby village one day, you pass through a one-down area you've never seen before. There doesn't seem to be many people in the area. If you go off of sound, the only thing you can hear is something grunting. Walking around, you feel like a fight eventually, coming to a ramshack home with two collapsed properties. At the center of the circle remains of one of the houses that's been cleared, and you see a strange woman hitting a wooden pole with similar wooden poles sticking out of it. She attacks with short, swift movements, as though she's practicing real combat. You couldn't help but stare at her. She's very intriguing. Her hair is short, black as night, and the only side piece of your ponytail was tied back. Her physique was unlike anything ever seen before. Even though she wore a heavy suit, complete with a pop collar, you can tell she's incredibly muscular underneath. You'd hate to be on her bad side. Spotting you staring at her, she stops her routine, sizing you up with a glance. Here to cause trouble? Well, you can't say you've heard worst introductions before. Offering a shrug, you tell the woman that you're just walking about. The woman's expression seems to refuse to change from pensiveness that borders on anger. Good, she says, retorting to her wooden pole. You're sure some rude people, you figured. You turn to leave the rude lady behind, but then you do so. You hear a soft, excuse me? Are you? You look over your shoulders and realize a small child. Are you that mushy lady from the woods? Crouching down to eye level at the child, you smile and offer a hearting, yes, that's me. And while you can't see them, the rude lady stops her routine and walks over. Everything all right? The lady says from behind you, nearly causing you to jump. You stand up to face them as the child answers her. Look what I found, Aunt Mays. The lady my friends were talking about. Darting your gaze between the two, hardly two, you feel a bit too in the spotlight. You're just hoping the rude lady wasn't picking a fight with you. Am I that popular? Nope, the child beams at you, seemingly proud of their obscured knowledge about you. Right, Aunt Mace? The child looks at the lady, hat on the head. Well then. You don't seem like any trouble. Unlike most of the folks that come wandering in here, folks call me the Master, a title that I earned over time. Aunt Maze is the strongest, the child triumphantly claims. She can beat anybody, and she keeps me safe. Interesting at the master in the flesh, huh? It might be worth seeing something you can learn a thing or two from then. Ask for training. You seem charmed by her tenacity. The master agrees, some light sparring with you. Being battle-tested, you're familiar with the feeling of combat, and can spar with ease. Gleaming with new technique and honing your own in the moment. By the time you're done, you feel more powerful than ever, thanking the master for her technique, her teaching. Sure visit us again, right, Aunt Maze? The master smiles and nods, waving goodbye. You want While wandering through the woods, you always do your best to remain vigilant. Possible entities could run into. Certain animals are keen to cause problems for you, not even to mention the humans. It's with that awareness you detect a nearby being. You pause, humming to the sound of footsteps, human footsteps you suspect, or at least something vaguely human-shaped. Finally, you spot the intruder. The realization floods over you, the recluse. You rush over to greet them. You've not been by to visit them recently. You consider something. It's a fortunate encounter. Chores, your parent, all in one outing. Without further hesitation, you rush over, wrap your arms around them with a greeting. Thankfully, they had the time to see you coming. Amantia, they exclaim, returning the hug. What a coincidence seeing you two today. The two of you swap greetings. You couldn't help but to pry. What have they been up to? Growing up, you always felt like they were doing something interesting. Why not now? Your theory was proven correct. The recluse goes up to explain, and you discover they had been beat a deal with the leader of the nearby village. In exchange to help deal with grisly situations that the villagers never cease to stomach themselves, the recluse goes on to live in the village without having to consider themselves within mundanity. No surveys, no taxes. Just what exactly the favor they're doing? There have been some concerns among the local parents, they explain. Some hooligans have been trying to kidnap children recently. It's a big problem. Hooligans? Shouldn't the local guardians be dealing with such things and not the recluse? Well, these hooligans are a bit rowdier than most. They live near the river, you see, and most guards can't be bothered to dirty their boots in such indifferent way. A hint of bitterness stuck in their voice, a rare piece of insight in their thoughts. Before long, you hear a running water. A river approaches. Well, let's say you approach the river. Finally, the recluse. You and the recluse stand before the river. They nod and speak. We should be close to their base. The observation concludes correct. But then the sound of a launch of laughter bubbles up from the water. The recluse drops their pack to the ground and pull off their clothes, retrieving a hatchet from their bag as they walk to the water. Offer to help. Frantically, you call out to help them wait. It's killing, correct? Humans are somewhat allergic to water, or something of that effect. Why should the recluse whisk when you're standing right here? At the very least, you could bait the creatures to land, and the recluse could have a much easier time doing that. Recluse gives you a long, hard look, and shakes their head. I can't let you do that. It's just not safe. You don't know things like I do. You watch the recluse dive into the water with a certain casualness. Without looking away, your eyes find themselves fixated on the surface of the water, and now you hear screams. The water turns funny colors, but for a moment, the current washes all evidence. Finally, the recluse emerges. They take a big breath and grin at you. The matter has been resolved. Giving you a hearty pat on the shoulders as they pass, the recluse returns the hatchet in their pack. You notice that they've been pulling something else away. Something small and shiny. They almost look. Before parting, past the recluse gives you a long, wet hug. You seem fine, at least. Oh well. Hopefully you don't ever think about that again. A man wearing vibrant multicolored clothes and a large pack approaches your home. He heard rumors about a beautiful fungal woman that's come to paint you, and asks if you could let him in the honor of being the first to do your beauty on campus. Except the artists. The man spends several hours trying and failing to paint something he was happy with. Eventually he turns frustrated with you, insulting your inner beauty, and blames that for his failure to paint something he was happy with. You kick the man out, having a waste of a good bit of time. The jerk. The winter gala approaches near. In a perplexing event, the one you decided you want to investigate with. On the day of the event, you walk up a full body full of excitement. You do your best to make yourself presentable for the townsfolk. Do you know that humans often don't like dirt? Were they raised in a laboratory or something? When you arrive at the ball, you find a room filled with all kinds of people, mostly humans. But you are now under the impression that some kind of attendants might like you, touched by magic in some way. As you grow accustomed to the situation, you realize that you're not particularly sure what one is supposed to do at a ball. Many are dancing, some are not. There are some array of other activities happening as well. Speak with the other non-humans. Shove as many snacks into your mouth as possible. Speak with other non-humans. Although unsure how to approach at first, you eventually make your way to the next boy covered in flowers and leaves. You tell him how excited you are to meet non-humans. For him to only respond negatively. Excuse me? How rude of you. I have a simple curse. That's all. I am not like you. Oh, so he's human after all. You feel embarrassed, and you try to apologize, but he won't hear it. Your nerves only grow as time passes. Before long, you decide to go home, where you couldn't possibly embarrass yourself. So, you do just that, leaving the party early. Some things just weren't for you, you suppose. As you grow older, you look back on your life. You think back to the witch who created you and can't help but wonder if everything met your expectations. You wonder if you were the daughter your parent had hoped for. Ending after all this time. This measure her life was worth. New music bonus, yay! New color bonus, yay! New stat bonus, yay! Ending! Bonus ending, yay! First crown bonus, little brown mush. Oh? What the fuck? What is this? A bloody cat. Weeping weed. What? Oh, Gnome's Depot. Oh, you're here. Welcome to the Gnome Depot. We've heard there was a big spore owner in the neighborhood, and we tried to shop as fast as you could. The witch would have you think the best way to spend spores is on magic rituals, but that's just because they go right back to her. Us gnomes know the real use of spores, the best meal on the side of crusty lair. Hate to say it, any wasted and appreciative witch. We're real crafty, and you sure you can use some of our services? Sell. A jar of coins. Never mind, no. Hardware. Oh, paper doll. How much is this? 5 spores, 50 spores, that's fine. Info sign. Any amounts of passerbys made of paper. They won't last long. Paper doll. They won't last long. Paper crane. Paper. Chat. Home Depot. Alright, we can't roll. And we summon. Ooh, conditions have changed. Bright mushroom can now be grown. Note, I think the recluse was. Sorta wish the next one would be a wolf girl or something. Getting a little sick of the mushroom stick? No! I think the recluse wrote this. I got another one of those days. Got turned around the other day, found myself in a glade in a statue. I'm certain now there's something watching me. I forged there, emerald eyes in the shadows. Worst part is, when I think about it, that gaze feels familiar. I think I'm going to leave that section of the forest well alone from now on. Events? Oh, how cute. Daughter quests. Which quests? Oh, well, okay, I see now. Notes. Curios. Aww. Turn. What? Oh, oh no, what did I do? I grabbed it. Okay. No, come back. Missing mush. Oh, okay, I collect those too. Okay, got it. Let's put this back. Let's put this back too. Then we start a new game with all this, yeah? Once upon a time, there was a humble recluse. Though they had no need for society, they did often find themselves at home to a loneliness they could never quite shake. In the morning, the sun would set, and at night, in the morning the sun would rise, and at night the sun would set. The recluse would observe this splendor, knowing that the sight would made all the more beautiful having someone to share it with. It wasn't that they desired a relationship. Perhaps it was more of a flame that burned them one too many times, or perhaps they simply were disinterested. No, a child. That's what they wanted. Someone to take care of, to teach. Unfortunately, it was a longing that a child could not. It was a longing that could not. A child. Steal the child. Mushroom child. It was a longing that simply could not be found. Not in the woods alone. However, we're never quite alone as we think, are we? One day a witch appeared, as if drawn by the immensity of the recluse's desires. The lumber that the recluse had spent all morning gathering slipped through their hands as they spotted her, the witch of the woods. She began to speak. You desire a child, yes? For some, those are quite easy to come by, but not you, it would seem. Let's make a deal then. If you could do 3 simple chores for me, I'll present you with the daughter of your very own. The recluse, caught up in the moment, naively, quickly agreed. The witch, knowing that the recluse was destined to accept, she nodded and began delivering the first of her so-called chores without hesitation. It's important for a young person to be well-grounded in this world. I hear. Bring me a jar of soil. That would help me with the process. Keep in mind that not all dirt is the same, though. Choose the source carefully. And soil. That did sound somewhat magical, the recluse supposed. Left a vague prompt, they considered their options. We've done this before, but this time, let's go to the a most picturesque forage. Wow, most picturesque section of the forest you've ever laid your eyes on. There's a place that they passed on occasion, decorated with green leaves and fragrant blooming flowers. A place of beauty that won such as awe is the only choice, only best for their daughter. Arriving back to the meeting place, the recluse was excited to share their selection with the witch. So that's what you picked, eh? Very well, this shall do. Feeling the need to scrub their skin, the recluse quickly retreated to their hut to cleanse themselves. The second day, the recluse slept more soundly that night than they ever had in ages. Having a purpose again soothed them, even if they found themselves caught up with a witch. They elected not to think about that, though. Instead, when the morning came, they simply did as they had to do, which to say, they got up and went to meet with the witch. Upon watching the recluse approach, a sardonic smile lit the witch's face. You completed your first task admirably. 2 more, and I can finally get what you want. She paused for a moment before delivering her next import. Growth struggles to achieve without persistence. Offer me which embodies the emotion you provide your daughter. A prized gem fragment, a stone lawn ornament, a silver beckoned hand mirror, a prized gem fragment. If there was something worth showcasing, the sheer wonder the recluse had for their daughter, a small glittering fragment they kept secret. Like a brilliant emerald glimmering unlike anything other the recluse had ever seen, but they understood beneath that surface was something ethereal. Returning to the witch, recluse handed out their offering, but the witch held their hand in protest. It is a beautiful thing to offer such passion. Merely the intent alone shall suffice. Feeling a tender hollowness, the recluse declines the answer. 3rd day. With the 2 assignments complete, the recluse felt their excitement grow. If this witch was being honest, and for some reason they felt that she was, then that meant that it could be the last day they could be spent without a child. They hoped so, at least. It's the least they could do. Barely remembering to get dressed, the recluse dashed to the meeting spot. Again, the witch had been waiting there for them. Welcome back, recluse. Are you prepared? Today is your big day, is it not? The last day is an easy one, or I believe so. Bring something colorful, something bright, that you think would suit her. When they were first told of 3 tasks, the recluse had imagined things were much more difficult. This seemed so easy to be a trick, which they suppose only meant they could take it seriously, as if mistake could mean death. With death in mind, the recluse decided to go where to search for color, a field of flowers. If someone wanted color, where else was there even to consider? The recluse decided to make their way to the particular idyllic field of flowers. The field was filled with an overwhelming amount of choices. Before long, the recluse narrowed the options down to a few. A cardinal, Cardinal flowers, a prideful red bloom. What is this? A pumpkin? Milkweed, the bright orange herald. They're butterflies. Foxglove, purple bell blooms. Black pansies, a stagnant omen. Foxglove. Wild foxglove. These flowers have enchanted the recluse in the edge of the patch. It was as though they lured them, tempting them to stray from the path. Perhaps today the recluse just might. The edge of temptation. An edge of temptation can be healthy. Purple. The recluse returned to the witch's hut, colored item in hand. She silently took the object and nodding her head, the recluse in recognition. The recluse stood there for a moment, unsure, but finally the witch realized what they expect. Oh, you want your promised daughter, don't you? Her voice seemingly almost mocking, but at least it was not overtly cruel. I must tell you that I lied, human. I do require several more trifling things from you. First is a matter of payment. The recluse knew that everything had to come for a cost. Pay me in wealth. They offered their coin purse to the witch, and they took it wordlessly. After pocketing the whole pouch, she returned a single coin in Recluse's hand. That should be suffice. A payment is settled, and the witch simply smiled and handed the recluse a small pot. Humans are tricky, but mushrooms are much more resilient. Consider this an upgrade. And don't worry, eventually she'll develop a mind. Simply give her time, as much as she needs. Soon your wish will be in full bloom. I suppose, with all that's settled though, there's one last thing for you to consider. A young girl needs a proper name. The recluse thought on the witch's demand before offering one final thing they have to give, her name. My dear daughter, my precious daughter. You shall be named Lilac. Then she walked away, only fate knowing if the two shall ever meet again. Chapter 2, Cultivation. Though the recluse was unsure of the specifics, they did realize that it was important to heed her instructions, to care for the pot and the dirt and everything that laid within. So the recluse geared up, as any parent should, to assess the things they needed to raise a child. Finances, in case to the nearby village had goods or services that you could not provide. Nutrients for the child, to help them grow strong. They would need plenty, as they would deplete on a daily basis. And finally, the recluse's own stamina could not be ignored. One cannot burn a candle from both ends indefinitely. Thus began the longest growing session of the recluse's life. Recently, you've begun to think about your daughter's living quarters, especially her pot. A few ideas of how to improve it, but you have much time. Which should you move forward with? Infuse the pot with drops of your blood. If this mushroom should be your daughter, you think it only appropriate to share your blood with her. It is a typical parent to child, have you been told. You want your daughter to know her parent, so you prick your finger and tell her your darkest secret to quench your thirst. Although you do not need her to share your burdens in life. You thought it'd only be fair if he had an inkling of what those burdens are. Her quality of life has been improved. Life continued. You realize that, buried in your new goal, you'd forgotten to feed yourself, or precede any human food, really. What seems the most nutritious option? go foraging in the woods. You know where to find food. It's been something that you've never struggled with previously. It's a part of you, and nothing could change that, not even a mushroom. You make your way to your favorite nook. Quickly find what you're after, of course. A generous bounty of treats for your daughter. It was a nice bonus. Decision has been made. Life continued. Huh? Something's happening. What? Your daughter has changed into the night. One day you awake suddenly, discovering that your mushroom has gained limbs and propelled themselves around the house. The creature toddles on uneasy legs and bumping into objects noisily. A cute face shows their vacant expression. Her demeanor, pensive and unsure, seems staring longingly at unfamiliar objects. Encourage her thoughtfulness. Your daughter's development grows much better than expected. You wanted to promote her inquisitive nature. You collect unusual things from around your house for her to look at, such as nooks and antiques and broken tools. She continues to observe things that you bring her for long hours, seemingly finding some enrichment in this activity. The decision has been made and life continued. One evening you hear a light knock at your door. Quite a rare occasion. You peek through your window and witness not other than the Witch of the Woods standing at your doorstep humble hut. Could she be there for a visit, or perhaps to settle a debt? Perhaps it was time for your daughter to meet the witch. She could learn maybe a thing or two. The two of you enter the door, inviting the gloomy woman in for a dry, awkward small talk. Something about the way the two absently stared at each other. You wonder if they made some sort of connection today. A decision has been made and life continued. You realized you finished all your work here for the week, and you had a whole day free. Teach your daughter some important lessons. You decided to make use of time and spend the day teaching. Your daughter doesn't really like to sit and listen, but you managed to impart some life lessons. Decision has been made and life continued. Huh? Something's happening. Your daughter has changed into the night. On one morning, you notice that your daughter is nowhere to be seen. After hours searching nearby, you find her sitting alone in a clearing. To your surprise, the creature had now taken a form of a young girl. You were relieved to confirm that the witch had not betrayed you. You approach, she turned to you, smile before continuing there from your space. Tell her it's time to go home. You kneel beside your daughter and offer your hand, telling her it's time to go. She smiles brightly, and the two of you return home hand in hand. A decision has been made and life continued. Your daughter needs food too, and you've just run out. You need to find something to feed her soon, or she'll starve. Spend the day gathering nutritious shit. Spend the day foraging and digging up the woods. Return with a heap of mushroom food for your hungry daughter. A little hard to to be sure, but it seemed like she was thankful for your efforts. A decision has been made and time continued. One evening, you discovered many footsteps at your home, three-toed and webbed. Strange creatures had been poking around. You've heard these rivers. You heard the rivers of these woods are home to nefarious turtle-like creatures that capture human children, only to bring them home and drown them. Your child isn't human, but you can feel the leer of envious eyes on the tree line. They know a precious daughter when they see one. By the look of its tracks, these ones seem quite young. Perhaps you can do something to frighten them away from your home. Things may be dangerous to children, but a healthy adult can easily catch and kill one. It certainly will send a message. Grabbing your bow and hatchet, you charge off into the woods, finding them deceptively quick for turtle men, but panic easily. You single one of them out and detach the slippery green thing, stumbling them into an unfamiliar bramble. Frantic, rustling, damaged hollering can be heard in the trees as you drag it home. A brightly colored shell adorned post by your cabin now. The creatures provide you and your daughter both a hearty meal. Decision has been made and life continued. An end? It had been many strange weeks since the witch had gifted you your enchanted pot of dirt. It felt like much longer. Perhaps you underestimated the amount of effort it would take to rear a child. Long days, long nights, toiling for her every need, and you felt drained. When you consistently faked tiredness, it might be difficult to present for a little girl. For the girl, you expected you weren't the role model for a growing child needed. You sat down a mug of ale, readying yourself for another night of restless sleep. Maybe morning things would be easier. Slime form. You suspected a long time your time with the recluse would come to an end. They raised you, you suppose, but it often feel like you were trapped, like you were kept locked away, unwanted and forgotten. But you're older now. You have the ability to fend for yourself. There was no reason to stay where you weren't wanted. Your preparations were underway while you made your little place yourself to live in the woods. Tomorrow is the day to act to your plan. While the path ahead you seemed a little frightening, things can only be better from here. In the morning you'll finally be able to see for yourself. Date. A girl of her own, lilac, imbued with purple witch's butter. Living outside of your parents' homes were occasionally daunting, but filled with possibilities. What would you do? Woodswoman. A strange slime associated with witches. A slime? I'm a slime? But I'm not a shroom. Slick with magical, you can feel it to the core. Witchling, your touch with magic. Okay, I am just magic. Distant parent. Your parent was not as kind to you as you deserved. Now they're alone and you're free. Certain animals are keen to cause problems for you, and not even to mention humans. It's this wariness that you detected in a nearby being. You pause. Footsteps. It was the recluse. Make your presence known. It's been a while since you've seen that human that raised you. This was likely mostly your decision, if you're being honest. But today, for some reason, you felt something, an urge to try to make a connection, you suppose. Wordlessly, you step forward of the thick wilderness that had previously hidden you. The recluse, bundled all in their hands, looked you dead in the eyes with little emotion, as if to say, "Oh, it's you." This is insinuation. Is left unsated. Fills you with an emotion that feels like it's grabbing at your heart, or at least the thing that you call your heart, as though your chest is trying to wring it out. You don't like it. Offer to help them for your chores. The recluse seems to consider the offer for a moment, but then simply shook their head and walking away. How rude. Aww. While wandering the woods near your home, you suddenly hear something rustling the foliage ahead of you. Before you could react, a large boar and brush lock eyes with you. Intense its fury, wild hog, run for your life. Do we have magic? We do have magic. We have a lot of spells. Yes, we do. 12 on coin, spores. You grin at the hog, preparing a small tempest from the tips of your fingers. With specific intent, the flick of your wrists to hurl Gale the swine, fending it off, its feet hurtling in the air. Clambers to its feet, scurrying off in fear. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a beautiful warmth tint across everything you see. Today was particularly beautiful, a beautiful sight, blooming fruit trees and wind swaying through the grass. You felt your eyes heavy, and suddenly you felt yourself into a deep sleep. In your dreams, you were sitting on a tree branch. There was a flute playing somewhere. Then suddenly the flute was next to you, attached to a vague shape of a woman. I haven't seen you around here before. Welcome. Whenever you go to look at her, she shifts. You couldn't quite describe her. You probably won't remember me when you wake up, but it's nice to meet you. After sitting in silence for a second, she starts playing again. Fly. The landscape looks so lush, you comfortably enjoy it thoroughly. You lean over, falling branches into the air. You spin in circles and span out. Feeling the wind in your hair invigorate you, you wake up, feeling like you slept for far longer than you had. You put putting feeling behind you. It's dark out, you should go home. You feel a crisp breeze. The heat relenting and the trees changing color, fall has arrived. The change in weather has invigorated you. What will you do today? Just as you're about to return home, an unfamiliar tree catches your eye. The plump pink-orange fruits dangle from a large mass of branches. Upon inspection, you also find plenty scattered around the base of the trunk as well. Climb the tree for the perfect fruit. Oh shit, you fight your way up to the tree, barely managing to get off the ground. Finally, thankfully, you brief yourself to make a sturdy branch. While you take a second to rest, you find a nice plump fruit. You find yourself, your heart set on it. You reach out to grab it, you loosen your grip a little too much. Before you know it, you come tumbling down the branches, hitting every single one. Finally, mercilessly, you land on the ground. You go up, head home, sore and embarrassed. You leave your home, your humble abode. Later, one day, you find a strange figure not far from your home. They don't just notice you. You might even notice the camp just right there. As they stand, cloaked, rotund figure, their gaze locks to the sky. They'd be a statue if not for the periodic wave of their hand, rubbing the bead of sweat off the ground of their bald pat on their head. They look harmless enough. Attempt to scare them off. I'm being so mean today. I'm a very mean mushroom today. Not wanting to take any chances with strangers too close to your property, you creep out the figure. With a scream, you latch onto the figure's back, throwing yourself off them off balance. As expected, they curse, flailing around until you're knocked off. Turning your direction, they glimpse eyes full of disappointment. Tfeh! Feral, you're no use to me. Yes, pass. Without another word, the stranger just leaves. You figure they're not just playing cool. Your face, terrible might. Annoyed at the frequency of humans trespassing on your property, clearly far away from civilization, you clearly turn home. Grumbling about the lack of common etiquette among humans, you distract yourself with the day of chores until the night. One day while home, you surprised by a stranger visited you. You don't typically receive any guests. It's quite unusual. Their stranger was a woman, broad-shouldered, grease-covered in leather, and approached her. She hauled her goods. Ah, I fucking toy maker. She a toy maker? Girl's best friend. Toys. Yippee. Do I have money? I don't think I do. I only have one coin. Okay, well. Being a crafter, I'm hard at work. You make something, I have to sell it. If I had a little more money, I could buy nicer materials, but you need gold to make gold. Shockingly smooth wink. I know nothing of this world for sure. But you do have some spare coin. I guarantee I'll pay you back in time and then some. I'll leave a coin. Wow, I wasn't expecting you to take me up on it. Seriously though, I promise. Goodbye. Deciding you're not dealing with their services, you simply walk in bitter farewell. You walk around the woods for a day, you find yourself lost in thought. Eventually, snapping out, you realize you're in part of a forest you've only seen recently. Off to the side, a small pathway, underbrush, clear out of sight. Naturally, you are not a cat, though curiosity won't kill you, according to humans at least. You take a gander down the path. The path of grass is a bit thin, but you're able to investigate it with ease nonetheless. At the length, you come to a scenic glade. You pause for a moment, taking in the peculiar arrangement. A statue of gnomes dot the glade. No rhyme or reason in a pattern to them. They do look particularly cozy. Humans sometimes has these outside their house as decorations. You can't help but wonder what dragged them all in this remote area. Perhaps there's only one way to find out. To simply ask. Attempt to channel magic in the area. Feeling a particular drawn in this area, you attempt to channel some magics. See what you can uncover. As much as you're surprised, one of the stone ornaments exhales a featureless spirit. The spirit aside prominence a pointy hat. The spirit makes such strange noises as though attempting to communicate, but it only sounded like indulgent grunts. After a time, the spirit returns to the stone ornament. For some time, you realize you sense the familiar presence of others. Uncomfortable with what that all implies, you take solace at the very least, having learned a new method of magic. Spirit summoning. Being able to sense spirits is interesting. A chilly breeze greets you one morning, heralding the approach of winter. You want to accomplish something significant, you decide. Something you will remember. You want to take on a dangerous quest. In your travels, you've told of particularly challenging quests. Possibly test your merit. Of potential opportunities for glory you've heard, you decide to slay a terrible beast. You've heard rumors of a monstrous animal terrorizing a nearby community. Perhaps you may win some renown by stepping up to hunt the beast. Preparations will provide you some time, but you take to the creature before the end of the year. The chilly air has invigorated you. What will you do today? What shall I 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 do? Hello, ma'am. Have you heard the great healer is in town right now? Don't miss your chance to see her if you have any healing. You begin to explain the boy human healers are little used to you, but he simply shakes his head. She is a great healer, ma'am. Heal a fungus? How strange, a healer? I am feeling sleepy. And I hope this made you feel sleepy too. I'm gonna end it here tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I felt a little burst of energy today, so I decided to stream more of this wonderful game. I will now save this. I will put this into my entity save slot. And I will see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow we stream ZZZ. Thank you. And good night.